In this video, I'm going to explore on how we can convert an otherwise traditional mono or stereo signal into the realm of Dolby Atmos using A/B phaser. My name is Alejandro and we are the Audio Brewers. If you haven't seen the previous video where I grabbed 3 different monophonic guitar recordings and I used A/B phaser to spread the recording to the stereo field, I encourage you to do it. You will be able to see how A/B phaser can be useful for you if you are working in stereo. In this video, I'm going to use the same recordings, the same settings, but this time I'm going to grab the monophonic signal and I'm going to blow it up to a Dolby Atmos mix. So the first thing I'm going to do is to prepare my session so that it works only in Dolby Atmos. So for that, what I'm going to do is delete my stereo output that I had created for my stereo mix. And I'm going to stick only to my renderer output. And now, because I want to create a 3-dimensional object, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move each of these recordings to a third order Ambisonics tracks, work in Ambisonics, and then send it to a 7.1.4 object. So first, I'm going to create an audio track. It's going to be in third order Ambisonics. Let's call it guitar 1. And I'm going to move my recording there. Now, I cannot listen to this signal as is because it is a monophonic signal in a third order Ambisonics track. Of course, first of all, I have to encode it to Ambisonics. There are 2 ways I could approach this. First of all, I could add my A/B encoder to the first slot of my track, and then my signal will become Ambisonics, or I could use the encoder that comes included in any of our plugins so that I can receive a monophonic signal and then give an Ambisonic signal back. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag my A/B delay into my track. I'm going to enable it. And as you can remember, I was receiving a mono signal and I was giving back a stereo signal, but because this is an Ambisonics track, now I'm going to give back an Ambisonic signal. Then I'm going to change my decoder to be A/B decoder because I like it better. And so if I press play, you can see that it is already working. I have my signal in the center and the bounces are happening in the immersive mix. Now I'm going to move my A/B phaser to my track. I'm going to enable it. And as you can remember from before, because A/B delay is already giving me an Ambisonic signal, that means that A/B phaser is going to receive an Ambisonic signal. And similarly, A/B phaser is going to give an Ambisonic signal back. And finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the algorithm of A/B phaser to be full because I want it to work in higher order Ambisonics. And that should be it. I shouldn't have to do anything else. So if I open my renderer and I press play, okay, so now what I'm hearing my 7.1.4 setup is, first of all, the bounces are going to each of my corners of my room, but also the phaser is going a little bit like this to the left and to the right, and I can hear the phase going as well a little bit in front and in the back and above my head. If I downmix this to binaural, we can hear how it works using headphones. Okay, so this works really good. It's really immersive and I really like it. But now there is one more thing that we could do here. Now my guitar is going to my bed and I want it to be an object. So what I'm going to do now is convert this guitar to a 3-dimensional object. So for that, I'm going to create a new group track. It's going to be in 7.1.4. You can select whatever configuration you want. And now I'm going to convert this track to an object. And for that, I'm going to go to my project, ADM, and create object from selected track. As you can see, the objects have been taken and you can see the 3-dimensional object here. And next, what I'm going to do is simply send my track to my object instead of to my bed. I'm going to check that my A/B decoder is working now in 7.1.4. It is. And if I press play, you can see now that the bed has been freed and my 3-dimensional object is working. And this opens a new door on how to work with Dolby Atmos, because now I don't have a mono or a stereo object. I have an object that is all around me. And with Nuendo, I can control its size, its orientation, or its rotation even. So I could go to the panel of Nuendo, and I could really control the way the object behaves in the three-dimensional space. Now I'm going to rotate it, shrink it, make it wider, make it thinner, and see how it works. Okay, so what I did here is I grabbed my three-dimensional object, I shrank it a little bit, and then I push it to my front left corner. This is really cool because this is not a monophonic or a stereophonic object. This is a three-dimensional object and it's working with three-dimensional sound effects, which is the delay and the phaser, but it's not on the bed, it's an object. So this works really nice. And you can even go more extreme with your changes. So it could be really cool if you could automate the movement of this guitar along with the phase changes. It could be very interesting. Now let's move on to the next guitar. I'm going to add it in a new Ambisonics track. So I'm going to create an audio track, which is going to be again in third order Ambisonics. And I'm going to move my second guitar there. I'm going to repeat the same steps. My second guitar is a monophonic recording, so I really need to encode this signal to Ambisonics before I can listen to it. I could use AB encoder in the first insert of my track, or I could use the encoder that comes included in any of our plugins. In this case, because I'm only using AB phaser, I'm going to use the encoder that comes included in AB phaser. So I'm going to drag my second AB phaser to my track. I'm going to enable it. And I'm going to set it to full because I want it to work in higher order Ambisonics. And finally, I'm going to insert our AB decoder. And as you can see, it's going to 712, which is the width of our bed. Finally, I'm going to make sure that the output of my plugin is in Ambisonics because I am in an Ambisonics track. So basically, a mono signal is coming in, an Ambisonics signal is coming to the track. And in the last step in the panel, the Ambisonics signal is getting converted to 712. So if I listen to it, it sounds like this. Okay, you can hear that the sound is very concentrated in the middle. I'm going to change the down mix to be 714 so that I can listen to it in my setup. And if I listen to it again, now I can hear the phase swirling above my head. Really, really, really cool. Now I'm going to do the same with this track. I'm going to convert it to an object. One thing I could do is simply to route this track to the already existing object. So yeah, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to send it to my guitar object instead of the bed. And now it is the object that is going to be receiving this sound. So if you check at the renderer and I press play, you can see that now it is the object that is sounding. And just because it is a three-dimensional object, I can do the same. I could shrink it, I could make it wider, I could make it thinner, I could rotate it, and everything will translate really, really cool in your binaural or your Dolby Atmos mix. So if I open the panel of the object, I could just do the same that I did before. So you could really go deep into where you really want to spatially place the sound of your guitar. Everything just using one simple phaser effect. And now I'm gonna move on to my last guitar recording. For this recording, we were using two effects, AB Doverb and AB Phaser, to just make things a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to create a new audio track. It's gonna be a third order ambisonics track again, and I'm gonna name it Guitar 3. And I'm gonna move my audio there. And now, again, this audio is in mono and it's in a third order ambisonics track, so I have to encode the audio to ambisonics. I'm going to use my AB encoder, or I could use the encoder that comes included in any of our plugins. So now, because my first plugin is AB Doverb is going to be the one that is going to be doing the encoding. So if I move it to my track and I enable it, as you could remember, my input was in mono and my output is in stereo. But now, because it's in a third order ambisonics track, my output is going to be in ambisonics. And I'm going to add AB decoder to my track, which is going to go to my bed. And if I listen to it, there is already some depth in it because there is AB Doverb doing its thing. And I'm going to move the phaser there. And again, because the phaser is no longer receiving a stereo signal, it is now receiving an ambisonics signal. I'm going to set the input to ambisonics, and because it is in an ambisonics track, I'm going to be giving an output of ambisonic format. And I'm going to set it to be full, so that it works in higher order ambisonics. And so if I press play, it sounds like this. Okay, so now I'm using the bed to listen to this guitar. And now I'm just gonna make this guitar an object so that I can do the same thing that I did with the two previous guitars, which is like rotate it and move it around. So I'm going to send my signal to my guitar object. And now the signal is going to my object. So if I go to the panel, I will be able to control the signal's rotation from within the panel. You will be able to see that the guitar is coming from the object and not from the bed anymore. Okay, I did something interesting there, which is like I put my guitar to be upside down and I put it on the top over there. I don't know, just to see how it sounds. I'm gonna listen to it in my 714 setup to see how it sounds. So yeah, this sounds pretty cool because you can hear the guitar there above your head, and it's sounding really three-dimensional because it's not like a mono or a stereo object, but instead it's like a little box of sound happening there above your head. Well, and this is the way you can use our AB phaser, or by that matter, any of our effects, to apply to your mono or stereo stems and really blow them up into the Dolby Atmos realm. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate on letting me know below in the comments. See you in the next one. Cheers!